The content of Kingdom of Healing with Kimberly Mateo, powered by 710 Radio, is intended for general information purposes only. It is not designed to provide listeners with specific and personal medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional services, or any advice. The programs are not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Individuals with health problems should always consult their healthcare provider for professional medical advice, medications, and/or treatments. Kingdom of Healing also does not promote anyone's individual practices, programs, agendas, particular treatments, healthcare programs, providers, hospitals, and/or medical centers. The views expressed by show host and their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Kingdom of Healing. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. We encourage you to always seek professional advice or care for any problems which you may have. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to the Kingdom of Healing or 710 Radio or the show hosts whose words and or opinions appear from or on this radio show.
Live on iHeartRadio, powered by 710 Radio. This is the Kingdom of Healing with Kimberly Mateo. So grab you a pen and a paper, kick your feet up, and get ready for some serious knowledge to be dropped on you. Because Kimberly Mateo is a nationally certified naturopath, master herbalist, iridologist, a nutritionist, and a holistic healer since 1977. She shares 35 plus years of knowledge and experience to listeners who are interested in learning and overcoming health challenges naturally. So without further delay, here is the host of your show, Kimberly Mateo.
Hi, thank you for joining me today on Kingdom of Healing. This is Kimberly Mateo, and I'm a traditional naturopath and a master herbalist, and I've been in alternative healing for 38 years now, over 38 years. So I hope that what I share helps you and your loved ones to overcome any health challenges that you might be dealing with. And today I kind of want to go over some of the, more on cancer. There's so much, the statistics are so high now. I mean, it's, when I was a child, growing up in the 60s, you never heard about people with cancer. If you did, it was people who were elderly, and now it's just it's children, it's young adults, it affects everyone every age.
Yes, it does.
And one of the things that I had talked about a few weeks ago is how some of these nonprofit agencies, one in particular is what I was talking about, how it came to be, and it was the very, very first one, and the American Cancer Society. And, that was the first nonprofit organization to donate to for research for cancer. Well, nowadays we have so many different ones, and there's so many different charities, and you're constantly bombarded by all of these different charities. And one thing that's going on right now is just recently that made national headlines is that the Federal Trade Commission, along with the attorney generals in all 50 states, they have now filed charges alleging fraud on the part of 4 cancer charities. And the 4 charities, it is the Breast Cancer Society, and then the Children's Cancer Fund.
Oh.
Those are two of them. Part of the four. Breast Cancer Society and Children's Cancer Fund of America have folded as a result of the charges.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. The lawsuit is it will move forward against the founder James Reynolds Sr. of the Cancer Fund of America. And that's according to Jessica Rich, who is the chief of the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC. That is, the Federal Bureau of Consumer Protection. The charity spent about 97% of the donations that they received on private fundraisers on themselves. Only 3% is what actually went to cancer patients or cancer research.
Wow.
So, unfortunately, this isn't the first time that cancer charities have been under fire for the misappropriation of funds. In 2011, medical doctor Samuel Epstein, he wrote an eye-opening book called The National Cancer Institute and American Cancer Society, Criminal Indifference to Cancer Prevention and Conflicts of Interest.
Interesting.
So, the work it chronicles how the two organizations have unchecked conflicts of interest through their ties with pharmaceutical companies who manufacture the cancer drugs, the pesticide industry, the makers of the mammogram equipment. I've always told women, it's like, this makes no sense. You go in and get a mammogram, you get everything squeezed like a pancake. If you have any cancer cells going on or a small tumor, you risk of rupturing it, you risk of spreading that into other tissue.
Okay, right.
And how about just,
Pure
every couple of years, let's just radiate your breasts. It's like, wow, I'm sorry. It does, you do need to change your diet. You do need to be more watchful. I've talked about this before in previous shows on the topic. This genetic carrying the two genes that you could have for breast cancer, it's a very small percentage. Very small percentage is hereditary. It's very small. Look up the statistics.
Okay.
Very small. It's more the environment. And part of that environment is what you're eating, your internal environment. And acidic foods and too much sugar and too much fried foods. And, I've talked about before the pH balancing. You can look at pH charts, searching on the internet. It'll show you the foods that are high alkaline that you need to be doing, to bring your system up out of an acid condition. Really and truly, it's always said we're 70% water, but really when you take a good look at it, the organs couldn't be hydrated and have their form if they didn't have water. Our bones need water. Every part of our body, we're more like about 99% water. So it's important, we've got to have water. I've talked about it before, the alkaline water purifier 895. You can give Greg a call at 775-432-2861. And, talk with him about that. Tell him you heard it on Kingdom of Healing. $8.95. It's awesome. It's the unit that I have. I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't believe in it. And it's so affordable. It's so important and it's so affordable. The other thing that they have that is amazing and again is affordable. It's $2.99. It's their air purifier, and I've mentioned this before. I spent $1,500 a piece on mine, and it's like I gotta buy and replace stuff, and this unit here is amazing. It's $2.99. So get a hold of Greg. Tell him you heard it on Kingdom of Healing with Kim Mateo, and his number is 775-432-2861. You're dealing with any kind of health problems, health issues, health challenges, you need an alkaline water machine in your home. And they're starting to sell them at grocery stores, but it's like $3.50. I just kind of walked by them and was like glanced and went, wow, I'm sure glad I don't have to buy those. And they're sitting around in plastic gallon jugs underneath ultraviolet, overhead lights. And it's like, I don't want that water. I don't want it. And then it's, kind of like all the other water. What's coming out of those containers? And, and they're finding that BPA. Oh, BPA free. They're finding a lot of stuff that is marketed as BPA free. It still contains it.
Really?
Yeah. Trace amounts. It's still
it's there.
It's still there.
If they can find trace
there.
amounts, it's there.
Yeah, it's still there. So, not good. Not good at all. So, so we find that, it is really important, your environment, your internal environment, your body terrain, your pH, that has so much to do with keeping you healthy. But, to go back to this with these investigations and, the pharmaceutical companies who manufacture, there's a lot of ties that the two organizations, the National Cancer Institute and the American Cancer Society. National Cancer Institute, the NCI, is, I believe that's the oldest one. They are in cahoots. They are involved with the pharmaceutical companies. So
now,
they've been sued before. The National Cancer Institute and the American Cancer Society. It goes farther to illustrate how the American Cancer Society has stalled legislation to protect us against known carcinogens such as glyphosate. Glyphosate is what's in Roundup.
Oh, okay.
It's a known toxin. It is a known carcinogen. And, speaking to this, Epstein said that, the American Cancer Society has consistently rejected or ignored opportunities and requests from Congress, regulatory agencies, unions, environmental and consumer organizations. They have failed to provide the scientific evidence that's critical to help the efforts of legislation, as well as occupational, environmental, and personal product, knowledge about carcinogenic producing things, So they just, unfortunately, we know that nowadays, unfortunately, well, and it's been for a long time, but now it's just, it is so, it's so epidemic, it's so criminal, is the manipulation that takes place. It's like he who has the most money in corporations to throw around, and unfortunately, these lawmakers that we vote for, that get voted in, they're pretty weak in the knees when it comes to being offered a lot of the benefits and the money that they receive to side with the pharmaceutical companies. So, and it's common knowledge, things have to change. We need an absolute, complete upheaval. So, American Cancer Society has consistently rejected and ignored the opportunity to, share this scientific evidence that they think that, that they insist that they have, to prove, a lot of this legislation that they want done. So their money speaks. So they get whatever, pretty much they get whatever they want. So the American Cancer Studies deliberately falsified data. Christopher Wark, W-A-R-K, who was featured on The Quest for the Cures, continues. And if you didn't see that, I mean, it was excellent. Excellent documentary. And if you search The Quest for the Cures, Ty Bollinger, it's really worth it to buy the series. It was really very, very incredible. So through that, Christopher Wark, he was on this documentary. He was also recently shown how the American Cancer Society's 2014 Facts and Figures report deliberately spins their data to fraudulently fit their claim that more Americans than ever are surviving cancer. In that report, he points out that the American Cancer Society counts anyone diagnosed with cancer as a survivor, even those that were diagnosed yesterday. Yeah, how about that one? Poor cancer outcomes have only amplified since President Nixon, back in 1971, announced the war on cancer. And since 1971, $400 million annually of American taxpayers' money is given to, cancer research since 1971. Nixon is who wrote that into law. The American Cancer Society gets $400 million annually since 1971.
Seems like
It's 44 years.
Back to the people if they were to.
That's 44 years. 44 years. What did Pat Nixon die of? She died of cancer. Pat Nixon. Not laughing at that. It's just ironic. Ironic that President Nixon, announced the war on cancer in 1971. $400 million annually goes to the ACS of our tax-paying money, and here we are, 44 years later, and we're at a 2.1% survival rate at the 5-year mark.
Wow,
that's pathetic. That's paltry. That's ridiculous. That's nothing to talk about. That's horrible, horrible. So, it's fair to say that mainstream medicine and its limited methods have they've lost that war. Some estimates project that as many as 50% of the population will experience cancer in their lifetimes. We have abnormal cells that it's really said that we probably deal with it 4 to 6 times in our lifetime. It's a matter of if it gets diagnosed or not. If your immune system is strong enough, you're going to overcome it. The NK cells are the natural killer cells are the only cells in the immune system that are able to identify the cancer cells. And cancer cells hide themselves in fibrin. They coat themselves in that fibrin shield. And the NK cells can identify it. When they identify it and break it down, then it's the macrophage that takes care of eliminating it, the big eaters. And but it's the only part of the immune system that can identify the cancer cells. That's also why it's very, very important to supplement your diet with enzymes. And a really amazing basic one is the food enzymes. And you can find food enzymes on the kingdomofhealing.com, and just type food enzymes in the upper right corner into that search bar, and that will bring you to the food enzyme product. It also, when you add it to your cart, it gives you're able to see the difference between the retail and the wholesale. And so when you get to the point of adding what you want into your cart, it gives you an option to become a member. And a member is, it's a $40 fee, but if you have a $40 order, that fee is waived. And then you also get a coupon in your first order for 20% off of your next order. And depending upon how large the order was, there's also an additional deduction, of $15 or more that you can take off at any time. So it's really quite a savings. And the quality control, once you get on there, look at the quality control. It's like they're absolutely second to no one. And it's amazing. So, okay, so back to a lot of this that's going on. Another thing is what none of the mentioned charities will tackle is why cancer happens in the first place and how to avoid it with real-time tested non-toxic methods. America and much of the world is experiencing a paradigm shift where people are choosing alternative methods for, working with abnormal cells, with working with cancer. They're excluding toxic drugs that poison the body and provide less than ideal long-term survival rates. The answers out there that many are now talking about, talking about it freely, speaking about it freely, is the fight against cancer. The fight against cancer isn't in the hands of a government, medical system, or charity. The answers will not be found by them, nor will they announce any miracle cure anytime soon. So, your individual choice for or against a cancer manifestation rests on being truly informed. So I would really encourage you to look up that Truth About Cancer, the Quest for Cancer Cures. There's so much in the information there, it's absolutely incredible. There's 11 discs, CDs, just incredible. Medical doctors, scientists, PhD nutritionists, they're all doing it. They're healing people. People are being healed. I think one thing that was exciting is one of the doctors had said that, one of the products that he uses is the pawpaw. And I've talked about pawpaw before. Well,
Right.
Nature Sunshine they have the patent on pawpaw. And, back to this not wanting to announce any cures, Dr. Jerry McLaughlin was the head research scientist at Purdue University. And in the 70s, one of these two agencies donated a lot of money to Purdue, and they wanted research being done on botanicals to see if there were any botanicals that possessed notable ability to change and kill abnormal cells. And, he came across one. It was pawpaw. And after 4 years of documented research and everything that he did with it, when it was presented and met with a few pharmaceutical companies in the mid-'70s. The pharmaceutical companies didn't want anything to do with it, and funding for their research stopped.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, anyway, when he retired, he went to work at Nature Sunshine and was our chief science officer for years. Awesome, amazing man. Brilliant. And the company was interested in what he had, the information that he had, and they patented it. And it is incredible how quickly people overcome challenges, and not only with the abnormal cells that the medical field, calls cancer, but also with candida, parasites. Candida is fungus. There's a lot out there that's pointing towards a lot of these cancers can be fungus related.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Oh, yes. It's kind of been talked about now for about a good 15, 18 years.
Wow.
Fungus related. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I had a call this week from a gal who had experienced cancer just a short handful of years ago, and she had a section of her bowel removed, and they said that they got it all, and she started having symptoms that were very similar to what got her to the doctor before when they found the colon cancer. And so she had a colonoscopy, and the polyps that were removed were precancerous. So when she asked her doctor about diet, he said pretty much in a nutshell told her, don't waste your money. It's anecdotal. It doesn't work, and it's been proven not to work. And she asked about herbs, and again, the same response, anecdotal. It's not proven. It doesn't matter what you eat. You don't need to take supplements. Just keep doing what you're doing. Well, and she's intelligent enough to know that, okay, if I had this once before, and now I have it again, and some things haven't changed, maybe it is time that I change some things. And, and then the fear really with anyone is that of you get this type of a telephone call and you go in to see the doctor and discuss it, and they tell you to come back in 2 years.
I don't make any sense.
Come back in 2 years, and they've just absolutely tried to discount nutrition and quality supplements. And she realized that that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense. And so it's really sad that there are doctors out there that are still standing by this and being so insistent, because the proof is out there. The proof is all over the place. Herbs, hey, come on, really? Take a look at the majority of your pharmaceuticals. Where do you think those active properties came from? They came from herbs. Then they built constituents, other things around them after removing the constituent from the plant. Then they build their other things around it that are synthetic, man-made, and then they are able to patent that. So that's definitely a doctor. It's like, fire that doctor.
Well, that is a doctor that is more concerned about his paycheck than you. I guarantee you that's what that is.
Exactly.
I mean, he doesn't want you to change, because if you change, then you're not going to come back to him. And then that's lost revenue. So why does he want you to change? No, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, please keep doing what you're doing. I need you to come back. Yeah,
it's really sad, but there is no money in healthy people.
Right.
And it's
that
not
attitude needs to change.
Yeah. That's why, everybody wants to complain about the Affordable Health Care Act. Unfortunately, it's a good thing there's more people that now have insurance, but the bad thing is they're still doing the same thing. The definition of insanity. They're doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. We have a broken, flawed healthcare.
Yes, we do.
And mental health. There's so many problems with mental health. There's so many problems with, abnormal growths and so many different diseases and a rise on everything. And I mean, it's pretty sad if they're taking statistics and saying that there's more people surviving cancer because they're even counting the person who was diagnosed yesterday. I mean, what a falsehood. It's quite the falsehood. And so, the thing with the person that was advised to wait 2 years, she's stepping up and she's taking it on, and she's realizing that, there's things that I'm going to change, and by gosh, I'm going to change them. And sometimes, when we get information like that, it's amazing what rises up inside, and you've got to have that conquer and defeat attitude. You've got to, and you can't let that fear, step in. Fear steps in, and it's hard to make right decisions with fear. Right. And there's so much wonderful information out there. We're in the information age. There's no reason to not be informed about anything that you're dealing with. And and there's both sides of it. And what's important is that you do the research that you need, and you get full view of both sides, and decide what it is that you want to do. So and there's different stages of cancer. So we got the pre-cancer. So at pre-cancer, that's when you are at an ideal position. Change your diet, get the stress out, learn to start manage the stress in your life. We all have stress.
Right.
Some have more stress than others, and it's comes from a variety of different things that create stress. And so learn to manage that more. Learn to breathe. Learn to breathe.
Right.
Your mouth is for eating, your nose is for breathing. Take in a nice, deep breath. Count, fill up your lungs. If it takes 3 to 4 seconds to fill your lungs, hold that for 12 seconds. Double the amount of time that it took to breathe it in. So if it took 3 seconds to breathe it in, you're going to exhale to the count of 6 seconds. If it took 4 seconds to breathe it in, you're going to exhale to the count of 8. So you double the amount of seconds that it takes to breathe in. Hold that in your lungs for a count of 12 and release it through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Exhale from your mouth, double of the amount of seconds it took to breathe in. And what that does immediately is, it has to do with the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. And what happens is when you're stressed all the time, all that blood flow is going to the heart and to the adrenal glands. You get into breathing, and what ends up happening is that's now blood flow is non-restricted now, and it is going to all of your organs and to your brain. Okay, so it relaxes the body. You get into breathing, and it really does relax the body, and it really helps with pain. So that first stage, that pre-cancer, stage 0, is the pre-cancer. And that's when you change your diet, change your attitude, start making some lifestyle changes. Don't change everything at once. It's like Dr. Jensen used to say, you throw everything out at once and you keep throwing out and throwing out. Pretty soon you're cutting out paper dolls. You drive yourself crazy. But it is important to get a handle on everything that you can. And the first advice is get rid of the dairy and the wheat. Get rid of the breads, the pasta. Eat simply. Broil your meat. Roast your meat. Organic, grass-fed, naturally raised, antibiotic free. No corn. Most all the feed, I've talked about this before, all that feed out there, the majority of all of it is genetically modified organisms. It's GMO.
Right.
Okay, and then, you eat the animal that's been given that, and then, our bodies have to deal with it. The liver has to process it. Kidneys have to eliminate it. So, eating simply is really basically what we need to do. Organic produce, and I've talked about this before too, is there's a real misconception out there. We see a lot of farm-raised fish. And of course, with the oceans the way they are and the waterways the way they are, we think, a lot of the average consumer thinks, farm-raised, great, controlled environment, this is good and healthy. Well, they're feeding the fish genetically modified grains. That's the feed being thrown out on the water, to feed the fish.
Right.
Is the GMO grains. So, no, you need it wild caught. You need it's true. There's higher levels of everything in the waterways. So, it's not real healthy.
Okay, so keeping on the GMO line. Okay, this one, I'm not going to name any names, but this morning I was watching TV and on the news, and there was this article on there, just a quick little snippet. Okay, they were talking about an eggplant that was grafted onto a disease-resistant rooting system. Okay, now
a disease-resistant rooting system. Okay.
Yeah. Now, it made me wonder, well, how did they get that disease-resistant, I mean, I understand that they had to grow the plant to get the rooting system. Okay, I know that. But,
Roundup.
Well, right, but...
2,4-D. Glyphosate.
That would be a GMO type of disease resistant. So they're trying to add a good thing onto a... something that shouldn't be, and so
you eat the food, and they think you're resistant to the disease. I mean, that's what they're trying to accomplish with by doing those splicings. But the chemicals, I mean,
still in that rooting system
right.
It's like it's DNA, right?
Absolutely, it is in the DNA. It absolutely is. Yes, it is.
So it will go up into the plant and the
right. And as the eggplant grows, it's no different than like the corn and the wheat and the rye and the soy. It's no different. Papayas, the high GMO with papayas. They're these drug resistant. It's in the DNA, and at a certain point of the maturing of the cycle, it ends up producing the actual chemicals to keep away the bees and any bugs, and that's why the bees are dying.
Right.
And so it is just really, it's terrible what is going on. So that the glyphosate that is in the Roundup, and I've talked about this before as well, last summer, they were given, Monsanto was given the okay to add 2,4-D to the Roundup because the crops were becoming resistant to the Roundup, even though the seed was spliced with the stuff. Is becoming resistant to it. And that 2,4-D was the 50% component of Agent Orange. And you know, it's common knowledge what Agent Orange, by contaminating our soldiers and coming back from Vietnam and their children and the horrific birth defects and just all the sadness with their children. And it was from that poison. And so now that's being added into the Roundup, which is being put on crops, and then you're eating them. So very dangerous, very dangerous,
trust me, man,
mind-boggling,
those
dangerous.
birth defects are pretty horrific. I mean,
Yes.
horrifying to see.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we have a wonderful friend that, was in Vietnam and was caught under, the defoliation of process with, the dumping of the Agent Orange. And he's had numerous surgeries, removing, parts of his face and having to graft from other areas of the body. And he has become very much a hermit because of the disfiguring that has happened. Awesome, wonderful guy. And, but, this is what happened. And there's so many people out there that, what my friend, my husband's really good friend, has gone through. Everybody pretty much out there knows somebody with cancer. They know somebody who was affected by Agent Orange, affected by asbestos, affected by a lot of things. I mean, we're just in an age where, there's so many different diseases, and method of treatment is really not all that great, So I'll talk about that in a little bit here. I want to talk about kind of the different stages. So we got the pre-cancer, that it's your best opportunity at any time. I mean, I've had people over the years who have come really as the last option. We're not the
first option.
It's not the first option.
Right.
We're usually not the first choice. Somebody, will call me when a lot of times when it's not. There's no more choices. And things have been very, very successful over the years. There's a lot of people that were told they had no options that are here and have been here for quite a few years now. So changing things positively to eating clean foods and drinking clean water and drinking consuming. If you do eat animal products, beef and chicken, turkey, fish, fowl, the thing is that you consume animals that were raised in the environment that they were really designed to be raised in. So it's proven that, you consume animals that have been injected with a lot of drugs. There's illness. We see these 10-year-old girls going, wow, they're 10. Really? They're 10.
Right,
I thought they were 15 or 16. And I look at my two granddaughters who have been raised with a lot of wisdom as far as, they didn't have foods, cooked all the time in a microwave. They didn't have foods that were, fed a lot of hormones and things like that. They're at an age where, good amount of organic produce available and naturally raised beef and buffalo and chicken and turkey that they don't. When they were 10, they looked 10. When they were 12, they looked 12. When the 16-year-old turned 16, she looked like a 16-year-old. She didn't look like she was 24.
Right.
Yeah. So it's pretty scary.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty scary. So okay, back to the stagings. Stage 1. When they tell you have stage 1, that describes a small cancerous tumor. And maybe it's spread to some nearby tissue, but it hasn't gone beyond that. Like it's not in the bloodstream or the lymph system yet. Doctors will refer to it as the early stage of cancer. And they insist on implementing immediate treatment protocol, since at this stage the prognosis is very good using traditional care. Nonetheless, complementary and alternative treatment options should be given top priority at this time, as well as healthy changes to your diet and your personal habits to fight cancer and to, prevent its return. So, stage 2 and 3, those stages are known as a regional spread cancers. Those indicate that the cancer has expanded and it will be more embedded. It's embedded itself more deeply into the surrounding tissue. At these stages, cancer cells have entered the bloodstream, which may lead to detection in the lymph system, since cancer cells can get caught in the lymph nodes as they travel. Again, boosting up your immunity is crucial at this level, since the invasion into your lymph system is likely to trigger an immune response, which would shut down these mutations. So the probiotic 11 is really important. The food enzymes are really important so that the immune system identifies the cancer cell by breaking the enzymes, breaking down the fibrin. That's the protein shield that the cancer cell hides in. Okay, so, and when you start running, when you have, when you're doing things like this to build your system up, you find that you'll start burning like little low-grade fevers. And that's good. That's the immune system fighting and taking care of, doing what it is supposed to be doing. And another thing to remember with the immune system is the immune system doesn't have a pump system like the bloodstream does. The bloodstream has the heart. The lymphatic system relies on exercise, movement. The herb echinacea pumps and moves the lymphatic system. The little mini trampoline, the little rebounders, or if you have a trampoline in your backyard, go jump on that trampoline. That's the best way to move, to open and close the lymph system and get things moving and circulating. and get it out of stagnation. Okay, so stage 2 and 3 is known as a regional spread area. It's a little more embedded into the tissue. They definitely are talking about doing, medications and treatment at this point. Stage 4, that is when the cancer spreads from an initial site to other organs, other areas of the body. It's referred to as a distant spread. Advanced cancer, it's mastetized to other areas. Okay, so it's spread. This type of cancer is much more difficult to treat, but it's not impossible. Attention to complementary modalities, alternative treatments, healthy changes in your entire lifestyle from habits to diet is crucial. That's really crucial at this stage for a better chance of survival. There's, many forms of cancer can be life-threatening, but just as you would defend yourself in a physical altercation, you need to be prepared to do the same with cancer. It's just a matter of understanding your opponent and educating yourself on the best treatments available. Prevention is more than half of the battle, and it's estimated that at least 50% of all diagnosed cancer treatments could be prevented with a focus on healthy lifestyle choices. There's a lot of articles through that Truth About Cancer. Turmeric, a lot of information out there on curcumin. Curcumin is the active property in turmeric. And there's over 5,600 published studies on curcumin. And, one recent study says that it's better than 14 drugs that are out there. Having plenty of cruciferous vegetables in the diet is good. Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, green cabbage, red cabbage, which is really purple cabbage, onions. All of these are high sulfur, natural occurring high sulfur foods, and sulfur is extremely needed for a healthy immune system. So, when I got home from the hospital after having West Nile spinal meningitis and encephalitis in 2012, it was crazy. All I craved was onions.
Wow.
I could just slice onions up and just eat them.
Wow. It
didn't matter what kind of onion. I craved them. It was like I could not get enough onions. And that's sulfur. I mean, I'd been 7 days in ICU with, it's like every time I looked at the IV stand that had all those IVs, I mean, every time I looked at it, it was like, oh man, I need more kefir, I need more yogurt, I need probiotics. I mean, that's all I could think of every time laying there looking at that thing. Oh God, I need good probiotics. But so onions, that was something that I craved, and that is it's in that cruciferous vegetable family. Brussels sprouts are another one, and those are ones that you either love them or you hate them.
Right.
Yeah, you either love them or you hate them. One thing good about juicing, lots of information out there on pineapple, on the bromelain. I had a mix-up on that a couple of shows. It's bromide is what's not good, leaches out your, disrupts your iodine in your body, which iodine is needed as, It's your metabolizer. It gets rid of metabolic waste. So iodine's important, but that was bromide that displaces that iodine. Bromelain breaks down, it's an enzyme, it's found high in pineapples, and you want organic pineapples, and use that as a base of juicing. You can throw some broccoli flowerets, into that juicing. I've never tossed a Brussels sprouts. I don't know what that would be like, but I've put broccoli in it, and I've definitely cabbage, where my father had end-stage non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, type B. They didn't give him very long to live, and he did herbs. He did juicing. And unfortunately, we were juicing cabbages. He was drinking cabbage juice. Less than 90 days, he got a clean bill of health.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. So that was in 93. So, building a healthy immune system. Again, the Sunshine Heroes line of supplements has the probiotics for children. Doing juicing, make sure everything's organic. Drink that within a few hours after making it. And you're going to pay for it one way or the other. You need to spend the extra and get organic foods. And especially be sure to include the berries, especially mulberries. Mulberries have amazing anti-cancer properties to them. Treating cancer, it's really big business. In fact, each year in the U.S., allopathic conventional treatments generate over $200 billion. And that is in, big pharma, physicians, and others that are involved in the cancer industry. They profit heavily each time a cancer patient submits to the conventional big three treatment mode, which is number one is cutting. Cut out the essential parts of the body via surgical intervention. 2 is poisoning. That's with the chemo. Burning. That's with ionizing radiation, burning the body. I think that it's pretty barbaric, and everybody's heard the slang of cut, poison, burn.
Right.
So. Chemotherapy was discovered during World War II when a ship carrying sulfa mustards, a nerve agent to be used in chemical warfare, was bombed, and the troops on board were exposed to the chemical. The lethal accident ended up spawning what the medical field thought was a breakthrough. Those men affected tested for those who had been exposed, depleted bone marrow and lymph system cells that naturally divide faster than other cells. Scientists at the time wondered if mustard gas could be used in the treatment of cancer cells that also divide faster than normal cells in the human body. Well, one thing that divides those cancer cells 19 times faster than a normal cell is living on too much sugar. Sugar is a poison. And, I talked about before the left spin, right spin sugar, the left rotary, right rotary. Left rotary is good sugar. Now, that's your honey, pure maple syrup, non-GMO organic cane sugar, stevia. Those are left rotary. Those are good sugars. Bad sugars are all of those fake sugars. NutraSweet, Splenda, white sugar, all beet sugar. All that beet sugar, it's all genetically modified. So, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense with the method of treatments that they use, that it kills off everything. It kills bad cells, kills healthy cells. There was chemotherapy trials were conducted at Yale University around 1943, and there were 160 patients that were treated, and they were treated with nitrogen mustards. No one was cured. Of those 160 patients in 1943, not one person was cured. It shrunk tumors. So since it shrunk the tumors, they were excited to proclaim that chemotherapy trials had been a success.
Oh my goodness.
They all died. They all ended up dying.
Oh,
And there's a lot of the fear with cancer is, I don't know if they're afraid of the cancer. I mean, yeah, they're upset and afraid of the cancer, but by the time you decide what they're lined out for you to do, there's more fear there. One thing I want to point out here that I really think is absolutely appalling is that in 2009, 1,549,000 people were diagnosed with cancer. That was over the age of 20 and older. At the 5-year mark of last year, 3,313 people were alive. That's a survival rate of 2.1% at the 5-year mark.
Goodness.
There is also a particular chemotherapy drug that it leads to so many things. You not only lose your hair and get sick, and you have vision problems. You get chemo brain where you don't have any cognitive ability, your memory, basic thought process, coordination, your mood, numbness, shakiness, weakness, balance problems, nausea, extremely dry mouth, dehydration, anemia, not producing enough white blood cells, not producing enough red blood cells, cardio problems, weakens the heart muscle, alopecia, affects all the hair on your body. And, one thing that is really, really sickening is there is a chemotherapy drug that that they call, that the oncologists, it's 5-fluorouracil. They call it for short 5-FU. And what's disgusting is, do you know what they refer that 5-FU stands for?
What?
5 feet under.
Oh, wonderful.
5 feet under.
Interesting.
And it's a fairly common chemotherapy drug.
Oh my gosh.
And that is what they call it, because of its deadly side effects.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Team of researchers at the University of Rochester and Harvard Medical School have linked 5-FU to a progressing collapse of population of stem cells and central nervous system damage. Stem cells need to be released in order to go to wherever the body is sending out the SOS that it needs help, and that stem cell migrates to that organ and tissue area, and it gets up next to it and it replicates that cell, and it builds new tissue. That's the importance of a stem cell. Why do you get a bone marrow transplant? It's for stem cells.
Right.
And this particular drug is directly linked to progressing the collapse of the population of the stem cells. So, the sad thing is that people die from the results of the treatment. And that is what is so sad. And there's just, there's other drugs that they use that eventually, you'll have bladder cancer, or you'll have ovarian cancer, maybe you'll develop leukemia, but but that's a trade-off for right now with what type of cancer you're dealing with, that they don't think it's such a big thing that, you're going to deal with another type of cancer. And, they just use whatever drugs for that one. So it's important to control what you can control. And what you do have the ability to control is the water that you're drinking, the air that you're breathing in your home, the food that you're buying for your family, breathing, deep breathing. I mean, we all have to breathe, but really paying attention to doing that deep breathing, filling your lungs up with air, holding it for 12 seconds, Remember, your nose is for breathing, your mouth is for eating. You breathe in through your nose and you breathe out through your mouth. And again, the telephone number for the water purifier, the alkaline water machine, that is $8.95, and the air purifier that's $2.99, is contact Greg. Tell him you heard about it on Kingdom of Healing, and he'll give you a $25 discount on that. And you can reach him at 775-432-2861. And that's it for today. And be back next week and talk some more about essential oils. And you have a great week. And I will talk to you then. God bless you. Be safe. And until next week, take care.